50-50 shockers, so go ahead and use it on all social media at your disposal. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, everything. Speaking of disposal, in November last year, huge gale force winds hit the Algoa Bay coastline, tossing boats and container ships around like bobbing corks at the mercy of the storm. A ship carrying almost 100 containers full of various items such as plastic, ink cartridges and biologically hazardous material was overturned. Can you imagine? Maande later spoel daar steeds oorblyfsels op die strand uit en dit bedreig nou die baai se ekostelsel. Volgens SANPARKS kan dit langtermyn nadelige gevolge vir die natuurlewe inhou, omdat die houers aanhou om oop te breek en daar nie rekenskap vir die meeste gegee kan word nie.
What began as a normal shipping day in Algoa Bay on the 16th of November last year suddenly changed when a powerful southwesterly gale blew into the bay, forcing mariners to seek shelter for their ships and resulting in one of the worst plastic pollution events in Eastern Cape waters. COLENUTT of the SA Maritime Safety Authority was on duty at the time.
The Saroja Lima was moored in port, in the port of Mocha, and preparing to discharge containers. Once the wind came up, a southwesterly wind in the region of about 30 knots, the ships have been known to break their mooring lines, and the ship was required to sail out of the port and go and anchor in a vicinity over here. Due to the southwesterly winds and the sea action and wave action, the ship began rolling, and the containers which had been unlashed for discharge began to set up a momentum and then fell outboard into the sea.
The next morning, 5 of the 26 containers lost overboard were washed ashore on the beaches of the Alexandria dune fields. The powerful waves had smashed them up as if they were made of wet cardboard, and the contents, washing machines, plastic sheets, ink cartridges, cooler bags, toys and other electronic and household goods were scattered along the coast for about 100 kilometers. The Ships Protection and Indemnity Club, or P&I, contracted an environmental and salvage company in Port Elizabeth to clear the beaches, and a large-scale cleanup operation was set in motion. But the cleanup is only on the shore, while so much plastic is still floating or suspended in the sea, continually adding to the mess on the beach to be cleaned yet again. The Alexandria Dune Field is the most extensive stretch of coastal dunes in the country and part of the Addo Elephant National Park. Except for a small area around the Sundays River mouth, where fishermen, tourists, and holidaymakers are allowed, these beaches have been protected for years and are close to pristine. That is, until the contents of the containers covered them in litter. This stretch of coast is home to a range of seabirds, like African oyster catchers, a small but important breeding site for dammara terns, a roosting place for other species of tern, and even fish eagles. Of great concern to the authorities at the national park are the islands of Algoa Bay.
So you can see we're about 10 kilometers from the mouth now. Bird Island is about 38 kilometers to our west now. And I've been to both islands now. Bird Island, it's got the biggest breeding colony of gannets in the world. And Sinkoa, that's got the biggest breeding colony of African penguins. And we already saw some of the ink cartridges washing up at the beaches. We've got cooler bags and plastic that's been washing up the beaches. Our rangers collect it periodically and just clean it up. And just the amount of plastic that you see every day in the water, it's very disturbing.
SANPARKS Marine Coordinator in Algoa Bay, Dr. Ane Oosthuizen, says that this plastic pollution is having a devastating impact on marine life in the bay.
These are the little bits of plastic that will be the real problem over the long term. The big things are easy to clean up. It's these little bits that linger, that releases the chemicals and stay in the environment for a very, very long time. There's a lot of stuff that will be residual in the system, a lot of plastic sheeting, and that's especially a problem while it's in the water. The birds can get entangled in them, they can ingest them. I know we don't have turtle nesting sites here as what we do up on the north side of our coastline, but we do have turtles passing through, and plastic bags is specifically bad for them.
Every day, Pieces of debris lined the high water mark, and strong winds exposed the sand-covered flotsam. These were 40-foot containers that carried large amounts of cargo, and the warehouse where the battered contents are being stored is near to overflowing.
As we go along, depending on weather changes, we have a lot of debris coming from the sea onto the beach. So it's a continuous cleanup. Time frame to clean it up, we don't know, because that depends on how much is still out there. But we do have the team out on the beaches every single day. And the stretches are probably about 100 kilometers that we have already done. And it will continue.
Just 5 of the 26 containers spilled their contents ashore and caused this horrible mess. 7 others have been found lying on the seabed and may be recovered. These and the remaining 14 that are still missing present an ongoing plastic pollution threat. Our oceans have already become a massive plastic junkyard, so everything possible must be done to remove the flotsam remaining on our shores and in our waters. The missing containers have to be found and recovered. If these are left to rust at sea, they will break apart, and Algoa Bay, which is now an international marine hotspot with its wonderful marine life and rare seabirds, could become another extensive plastic garbage dump.